everyone. Welcome to Eat, Sleep, List. My name is Matt Johnson. Thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for those who are just joining the channel or have been with us since the beginning. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Today, we're going to get really reflective with our Mirror List Monday and going to give our younger selves some much-needed and hard-earned advice. So, without further ado, let us make the Advice to Our Younger Selves list. So there's this statue that I've seen many, many times over in my days of social media. It's come up in motivational posts. It's come up in memes, all sorts of different things. But it's, I believe it's called the Self-Made Man. It's a statue created by somebody. I'm not sure exactly the history of it, but the idea of it is, the depiction of it, the visualization of this statue is a man chiseling himself out of stone. It's almost metaphoric. I've seen it with, the same style of statue with a man chiseling himself out of an overweight version of himself, probably the waist up. Or excuse me, the waist down is a very large, heavy individual, and the person waist up is very fit. And I tend to look at it metaphorically, and what I mean by that is, one, obviously it's a depiction of somebody losing weight and bettering themselves if that's what they choose to do to better their own life. But I also like to look at it in the metaphorical sense of emotional baggage. Okay? Emotional baggage. Over the years, we accumulate a lot of emotional baggage. We accumulate a lot of different mental states, ideas, philosophies, thoughts, and it can weigh us down. It really can. I get sad, and I will openly admit that I do cry from time to time, but I will never cry in front of a camera. Never cry in front of a camera. But my point is, I cry because I look at a 5-year-old version of myself, so young, so innocent, so full of joy and optimism, and the future looks bright. And then I look at myself in the mirror now at 33, almost 34 years old. And I get sad about how much the world has changed me. How much the world has taken the spirit of a young child and molded it into something so calloused, maybe sometimes cynical, sometimes pessimistic. And see what that world's done to me, like how much I have changed. And obviously change is good. I think everybody wants to change. You don't want to be the same person you were a year ago, but there's also a tinge of sadness to it, because we all endure so much in our lives, a lot of pain, a lot of triumph, failure, so much more, so many different emotions that we carry over different events. A couple of weeks ago, I told you some, traumatic failures I had in my qualities of a friend list. And that stuff has been emotional baggage for some time now. And it just makes me sad how the world can just beat us down and turn us into something that, would younger me be proud of looking back on it? Would 5-year-old me recognize 33, 34-year-old me and what I've become, the kind of person I am, the way I see the world, the way I see human beings, people, everything? It's a little heartbreaking when you acknowledge that, because life comes at you fast. As soon as you're, in school, you're getting pushed through, and then you're pushed out of school into college and the workforce and so much more. And it's just it can be depressing and overwhelming if you really think too hard about it. But I want to do this episode because I find it very important to be reflective of and acknowledge these things. Think back to who you were 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago. Think back to the younger version of you. And in some senses, not all senses, but in some senses, try and find a way to get maybe back to that spirit, get back to that optimism. I talked about the books. I did the book list a couple weeks ago, and I told you all, and I'm gonna, for the viewers, I'm gonna repeat a lot of stuff if you've been with me since the beginning. I'm gonna repeat stuff. I'm gonna treat every video like it's the first time somebody's seeing it. But I talked about the book list and how this younger version of me absolutely loved and adored reading books, and it was basically bullied out of me. Granted, again, I let that happen, but I ended up hating reading because people made it not fun for me. That's where I see that's where the baggage comes from. That's where the emotional baggage comes from. That's where, in the self-made man statue that I was referring to at the top of this segment and at the top of this video, the stone is that we're the stone is accumulating around us. It's making us hardened, calloused, and maybe not a version of ourselves that we really truly recognize. I don't think, like, I've gone through my life, and there's a lot of times where I don't recognize myself. I don't really know who I am, like, spiritually. Like, how did I get into this? How did I go down this road? How did I go down this path? Who am I really? And that's the baggage. That's the stone. That's the stuff that I want to chisel back and try to find myself again. That's what this whole journey through life is really finding ourselves. And you hear people say it a lot. I need to find myself. And some people overuse it. Some people misuse it. But a lot of people don't know who they are. And there's a lot of advice that I'd love to be able to go back in time and bestow upon a younger version of myself to maybe navigate through some of that emotional baggage a little bit better. Obviously, I cannot, but I think it's fun to just openly talk about it. There's a lot of the things that have happened to me negatively. Maybe I wouldn't necessarily change because there's parts of the current version of me that I actually really like, and they were earned, unfortunately, through maybe some negative means, tough life lessons. There are aspects of me that I really enjoy. So I wouldn't trade some of those things for the world, but I think it's also important to kind of look back at the past and pull lessons from every single failure that we've had, every single bad moment. What can we pull from this? A financial difficulty. What lesson can we pull from hardship with a friend or family member? What lesson can we learn from a bad breakup? There's so much. There's a lot, and that's what this list is all about today. We need to make an effort to be better. But also a lot of the times we don't really know how to get better. Failing is a pathway to getting better. Looking at failure as lessons. This is all stuff I've talked about frequently over the last month and a half, however long we've been doing this. But we need to strive to be better, and we have to look at failure as a way to grow. I'll tell another old story. My financial difficulties 2.5, 3 years ago. I didn't want to feel like that again. So I worked hard, worked myself out of it, and gave myself a nice cushion for comfortability. That's the short version. But striving to be better. That is the goal, and using lessons from our past, it disguised as advice to our younger selves, and build ourselves a better future. That is what today's video is all about. This can all be really beneficial to ourselves, could be beneficial to friends, family, and if you're fortunate enough to have children, it can benefit them too. So I think this is a very important one, and this I've been really looking forward to doing this list because there are a lot of valuable lessons from it. Uh, I feel like to do this list, we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to really be open and honest and admit things that maybe we don't want to admit. Uh, be almost guilt-free in admitting where we have gone wrong, what these thought processes that we've had, how they failed us. Every single moment in our lives, good and bad, is a lesson for it's a blueprint for a better life, a better future. Okay? We learn from failure. We learn from failure. It is okay to make mistakes. We're going to talk about a little bit more in depth with that, but we have to take everything. Life is a never-ending lesson. Okay? Every day provides us with lessons, hard lessons sometimes even, to be better in the future. And as somebody who has a notorious knack for overthinking, I have overanalyzed everything, every moment, move in my life, and I've exhausted myself. I try to be a little bit better in the overthinking department, but it's important to look at these things. What are these? What are these emotions that I don't want to feel again? Right? What are this pain and embarrassment that I don't want to feel again? What is this success and how I can find myself to be even more successful? What do I got to do to get to another level of success? These are all things to take away from looking at today's list. All right, it's gonna be hard. All right, it's gonna be tough. I mean, you really have to be thorough when putting together your list, which I hope you all do. For those who follow along, writing them down, you have to take a long, hard look at ourselves and what we've been bad at and how we could do better, right? How we maybe wish we could have done better. But the present is now, the future is in front of us. How can we avoid making these mistakes again? That's important. All right, that is an important lesson from this list. I also want to look at ourselves and what are we doing in life. All right, I know for me, I hate sitting around. I feel like every time I sit around and not like even just sometimes finding really over relaxing. There is such a thing as over relaxing. But if I'm sitting around not doing something, not working towards something, am I really living? I'm wasting days. I'm wasting time. Why am I not growing? Like I need to be doing something. I feel like I constantly have to have a goal in mind to keep me motivated, to keep me just grow my existence, right? Reading books was a wonderful thing, and it has been a wonderful thing for me, growing my knowledge and finding inspiration to help become the person I want to be. Financially, what are we doing? Are we not, if we're not happy at our jobs? I know there's times where I'm not. What am I doing to make myself better and maybe find a job or career that earns more money? These are the things. Like if I'm just miserable and hate what I'm doing for a living and I'm just staying in it, then I'm just existing. I'm not living. I'm not trying to grow. And that is a big problem I see with a lot of people, is that there's complacency. And again, I'm not trying to be too preachy. These are all things. Every video you see me talking, every little bit of wisdom I can dish out to some of you, to whoever's watching. This is all stuff I've noticed from my own life experiences. These are all things that I've struggled at. But I don't want to be complacent. Complacent is not fun for me. I want to grow. I want the nicer things in life. I want a nice car. I want a home, a house. I want it. And I want a nice job, and I want a lot of things. But it's nice to want. It's even better to work for. So these are all things I want to look at that, hopefully today, where you are in life, this is the best you've ever been and the worst you will ever be again. I hope for you. I know that's the way I look at every single day of my life, that tomorrow I'm going to be a better version of myself. 1% better is a little quote, a little saying, a little inspiration that I like. I keep in the back of my mind. Today, I'm going to be 1% better than I was yesterday. And that's all you need. That's all you need. Got to just keep going. And the other lesson, too, is, I look back on my life. There's a lot of regret. And as I said, there's a lot of things I wouldn't change. But regret can be a wonderful, wonderful motivator. And I want everybody to look at regret from missed opportunities, from something bad we did, something, it could be anything, and use it as the building blocks to a better future. All right. As always, I really, really encourage you all to grab a notebook and really think. Whether it's while I'm making my list, whether it's after I'm making this list, to jot this stuff down, emit it, write it, have it somewhere for you to look at, and have this blueprint to better yourself or to set goals. These are all this is the angle of the show. This is the angle of Eat Sleep List. Yes, there's a lot of me talking, and I certainly love to talk in front of a microphone and on camera. But the other part of it is work on your end, right? We can only do so much. I'm only giving life advice from somebody who has tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed many, many, many times over. But it's up to you to do the work. And it starts with lists, from my perspective, jotting stuff down. And, if you want to comment them, if you want to email them to me, eatsleeplistpod@gmail.com. I am here for you, okay? I appreciate anybody who watches any of these videos. So it's the least I can do is be there for you with anything, with any of these lists, with any of these themes. Seriously, reach out. Don't be afraid. All right. So, the top 10 list of advice to my younger self. The top 10 well, here, let's clean that up a little bit. The top 10 pieces of advice I would give to my younger self. List. All right. So, my number 10 is to embrace work. Embrace jobs. This is something that I think if I had done at a younger age, that maybe I'd be a little bit better off financially. Maybe, just maybe. I remember hating having a job, and I think about 100% of the people watching this video can relate to that. Maybe 99 at the very least. But I didn't embrace it. I tried to run from it like it was going to go away. All right, I put stock in doing various other hobbies. Photography, I really hoped would have taken off, or a potential pro wrestling career. And who knows? Maybe someday this will turn into something. That would be wonderful. But I spent so much time. I spent probably 10 to 13 years roughly just working I had to do it instead of embracing it, trying to be good at the jobs that I selected, right? I chose them. They didn't choose me. I chose them. And I really do wish that I had given forth a better effort in some places. If there was overtime here and there, take it. Might have been a little bit better financially off. Could have paid off a bill. Just be more conscious about the choices I made around work. And obviously, I fully understand the stigma of work, where a lot of us are just a number, just an ID, and as soon as we're a spoke on the wheel, and as soon as we don't really work with the rest of the wheel, we get replaced, and it is what it is. So, but there is an aspect for my own self, that I could have done better. I could have been better. I could have strived harder for work and knowledge at the same time. So I do regret that. And even just generally, like as far as work goes, like putting in the work to do stuff, going back to sports, wish I maybe worked a little bit harder, like embrace the grind, embrace it. Just roll with it. Everything I do, I want to be great at. I want to be a great dad. I want to be great at YouTube. I want to be a great husband. I want to be great at a lot of things. I want to be great at my job. I do. I strive for perfection every day, whether it's appreciated or not. I know my company, they'll tell you they appreciate it, but sometimes you just don't feel it. But embrace it. It's just better for you. I think it's good for the soul to embrace hard work. I'd rather finish something knowing I gave 100% than look back and regret not giving it my all. So there's my number 10. Number 9, we're going to stay within the money kind of financial area, and it's to just be smart about spending money. Okay, I have spent my money on a lot of silly, stupid things, and trust me, that is going to be a reflective mirror list Monday list. Eventually, I don't know how soon. We'll see. Well, I got to really be itching to do it, but just make smarter money choices. God, I mean, how much better my credit score could have been. Yes, I worked my tail off to get it up to where it should have been. But maybe it wouldn't have ever struggled to, maybe it would have never been as low as it was, to the point where I needed to strive, to work double hard to get it up. That sounds bad. To get my credit score up. But I also bought stuff to feel alive. I think that's an important perspective. I want to do that. There was an emptiness inside of me. All right, a feeling of I don't know. There's just a void in my soul, and I used to buy things because it used to make me feel special. I'd have this weird thing where I was like, "Ooh, I bought this. I gotta tell everybody, post about it," and I can assure you that it doesn't fix the emptiness. And the only thing my wallet just got emptier. Like, I used to buy glass cups. They were really cool. But in hindsight, why? Why did I need so many cool decorative glass cups? I don't know. But at the time it felt good. I have a ton of jerseys that I'll probably never wear, but I had a nice jersey wall at my previous studio. And I just be smarter about my money. Make better choices. Invest in Bitcoin, 5-year-old me. When Bitcoin comes up, just invest it. In all seriousness, though, I've tried to buy relationships and friendships with people, just being overly generous with my money and not letting it doesn't come back, right? It doesn't come back. Maybe even the validation or appreciation that you had hoped for, it never really finds you. lot of regrets when it comes to how I've handled money over the years. I'm a lot more careful with it now, a lot more detail oriented. Just I pay attention. So to my younger me, please do better with money. Number 8, just try and enjoy things. I've talked about how I'm surrounded constantly by very negative people. Constantly, everywhere I turn, it's just negative people in life, and it's exhausting and it's contagious. That is the worst part about it, is it is contagious. And even in my art of deflecting negativity, I ended up becoming negative, and I'll explain it like this. I shrink up. I freeze up when people are negative. I just tighten up and I just don't talk, and it actually makes me even more angry. It helps me join the negative thing. I want a lot of conversations that come my way to just end when they're nonsense, and I just end up being angrier. I just want to enjoy stuff. I want to go to a movie and just enjoy it for what it is, instead of being angry because XYZ. You know what I mean? I want to play a video game and just enjoy it for what it was. I want to spend time with people and just enjoy it for what it was. A large part of my life, I was looking for negativity. I was looking for reasons to complain. I was looking for reasons to be miserable, and it made me insufferable to be around. All right, I fully understand how nauseating it was to be around me at some points, just because constantly whining, never happy. Just to my younger self, find ways to be happy, find reasons to be excited, and just don't let the negativity get to you. It is negativity and jealousy are incredibly powerful character corruptors, and I think it's harder to be happy, but it's worth it in the end. So there's my number 8. Number 7, learn to use and understand the power of saying no. This is a facet of this might come up in some of my other selections of this top 10 list, but for many years, I was just like a yes man. Like, I would just say yes to anything. And, it led to me leading a life that wasn't quite mine. People would tell me what to do, and just to get them off my back, to get them just to stop talking to me. Yes. Okay. Little story here. Something I've realized within the last year and a half, but I was at a wedding in September, October, for my cousin's wedding. And several people kept coming up to me and telling me to dance, because I do like to dance at weddings, but for some reason I know exactly why. I found peace in just sitting there, and I was enjoying myself, and I kept saying no over and over and over again, and I was just getting, like, it was really angering me. But it got to a point, and I felt bad, but I literally said, why can't people listen to me when I say no? And in hindsight, it's because I've been a yes man most of my life. People tell me things. Okay. Eat this. Okay. Try this. Okay. And whether I wanted to or not, just to get people off of my backs. And just learn the power of saying no. It is okay to say no. There's a lot of moments and incidents in my life where I wish I was confident enough to say no. It is a very powerful word. All right. It throws a lot of people off. If you say no to something, right? If you say no to something, it takes people aback. They're like, what? It's power. It's a very powerful word. Just 2 letters, 2 little letters, N and no. No. It is very powerful, and I think a lot more people should use it, because I watch a lot of people just say yes to everything, and as someone who used to, and they just drain themselves. They say yes to everybody else except themselves sometimes, and it's hard. It's a tough emotional, mental weight to carry. Is just be a yes person. Learn to say no, um, and maybe protect myself a little bit better. Put some guards up and have some standards. So that is my number 7. And kind of speaking of standards, my number 6, don't sell your values out to gain acceptance. There have been a lot of people that I've looked up to over the years, whether they be classmates, teammates, coworkers, even in some cases, maybe even relatives of some sort. And I wanted to be around those people. But to be around those people, I had to change. But my desire to be around those people was greater than my, I guess, self-respect, I think is a way to put it. I have values. I have standards, right? That I hold for myself, and a lot of times I'd almost like sell out. I'd sell out myself to gain acceptance with people that, to be honest, probably did not give a care about me. They seen what they can do to me. How could they affect me? How they can change me. That's the only way that they viewed. But I've sold out my values and beliefs to fit in more times than I can count. And looking back, I regret it. It's a part of losing myself. All right, it's how you lose yourself, is when you give up what you believe in to be connected with other people. And I I suffer from it all the time, and it all has long-term repercussions as well. So it's something to keep in mind. Is just stay true to your values. Younger Matt, stay true to your values. Number 5, use social media wisely. Man, my mortal enemy is social media. It certainly sounds like it. And while I am using TikTok for the benefit of this show, and I would dare YouTube. Obviously the show's through YouTube. It's kind of social media-esque now, but not really. But I have done myself a huge disservice with the way that I have utilized social media since my MySpace days. I have literally prostituted myself, talked way too much, said some horrible things, incriminated myself, and just I've done so much damage. There are people who don't know me on a personal level that would see some of my social media posts and the way I talked, thought, engaged maybe in interactions, and that's how they seen me. And while I can't control that, and that's not necessarily my problem, the way that they see me, when you're somebody who's been looking for validation for so long, and my social media days were definitely it was definitely a means of finding validation. I've done so much damage to my image. All right. There's a lot of people who think that they know who I am, and they don't. They don't. But what they think they know of me is a person who 3-4 plus years ago would say just about anything to get a reaction, to get some likes or hearts or haha reactions on Facebook. And it sucks. It sucks. And when, there's people from my high school who I'll look at and try to say hi to, and they turn their head the other way because they think I'm who one, who I used to be, and two, they think I was this they have their own interpretation of what I used to post on social media. If I used it smarter, then maybe there'd be some aspects of my life that'd be a little bit better. But I learned the lesson the hard way. I had to learn it through self-failure. But use social media wisely. That would be my advice to younger Matt. Number 4, move in silence. Every success that I had for a very long time, I felt the need to broadcast it. I felt the need to tell everybody, look what I did. Look what Matt did. And nobody really likes that. I know I don't really like it when people shove success in other people's faces. It's important to be excited for other people, but there's a certain way to go about it. I have certainly been humbled in that regard. I used to win or do good at wrestling tournaments, and I'd be like, hey, look at me. Look at this trophy that I got. Please, look at me. Look at this. Look what I did. And it gave me this ego complexion. I look back on a lot of things, and was I accomplishing certain things? Was I doing certain sports or activities? Was I only doing them for attention, or was it because I really wanted to? But winning doesn't have to be shoved in everyone's faces. You don't have to tell everybody your wins. All right. If you are actually winning, they will see it. They will recognize it. Don't speak out for yourself. I think that's the way. It's important to be proud of yourself, but it's not great. Again, all my experience, gloating and pride, being too prideful has been a huge detriment. And also too, no need to broadcast your negativity. If something bad happens to you, you don't have to broadcast that either. All right. We don't have to tell everybody this bad thing that happened to us. Move in silence. I think my life would be, it kind of goes in hand with the social media entry, but I think a lot of things in my life would be different if I had navigated success and failure in that route. Not everything has to be announced. So that is my number 4. Number 3, do not sweat what you can't control. That has been a very hard thing for me to come to terms with. Because everybody likes to share their opinion, and more often than not, right, people are sharing their opinion because they want to be heard. And I people's opinions on a lot of things don't necessarily matter to me because they are just opinions, whether they're opinions about me, whether they're opinions about some form of entertainment, politics, whatever it is. You can't just let it bother you. If people do something that is against your values, you don't have to openly just be mad about it. Just, who cares? It's not your problem. It has nothing to do with you. I am not responsible, and you who are watching this are not responsible for any other person's thoughts and feelings and actions, really. I take self-ownership over everything that I've done, good or bad, in my life. And I don't know, you just, no matter what you do in life, somebody's going to hate on you. No matter what you do, you could be the kindest, greatest person in the world, and somebody will find a reason to crap all over you. Figuratively, of course. And it's not your responsibility to do that. If you want to, I've let this entry, this entry in my top 10 list deter me from a lot of things. And it's going to bleed into my second choice, my number 2. But I can't worry about what other people think. And every time I make a post on social media, I really shouldn't be worried about what people think. I actually struggle to promote this show because I feel like I feel like I'm afraid to do it because I feel like I got people watching me. Like I brought up the hate watching thing for the qualities of a friend list. Like I'm literally sometimes afraid to promote this show because I'm worried that somebody will say something. And that's not a good way to be. So don't sweat what you can't control. That's probably my biggest. It's a very important thing. That's why it's my number 3. Number 2, don't be so afraid of failing that it ruins any chance of success. This bleeds into the previous one. Like I said, being afraid. Like, why am I afraid to promote my own show, my own content? I'm getting a lot better at it. Certainly gotten a lot better at it. But why would I worry about what if people have something negative to say about the things I do? It doesn't necessarily matter. It really doesn't. Don't be so afraid of failing. This happened to me in wrestling. Scared to kind of break out of a mold or do something drastic to help my character out, or maybe stay relevant. Things like that. Like afraid to try new things. This is an important one too. A lot of people are afraid to try new things because they're afraid of failing. They don't even try sometimes. Whether it's a new, like some kind of skill you want to learn, all right, or some job opportunity. A lot of people are so afraid of not getting a job or not being qualified for a job, they won't even apply. And like, rejection is hard. I understand it, but I've learning now that just try. Who gives a crap? Just try. Even if you're not qualified for a certain thing, give it a shot. You never know what's going to happen. You really don't. You just have to try. So stop being afraid. To younger Matt, don't be afraid of failing. Just try. If you want to ask that girl out, ask her out. Even if you think she's going to say no, give it a shot. Be confident about it. If you want to want to land that nice job, all right, just try. Don't think about failing. Because if you're thinking about failing already, if you're going into something thinking that you're going to fail, you already failed. And you will never, ever succeed. If you go into some decision, thinking that you've already failed, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And my number 1, and this is so important, and I've touched on it already a little bit. Live the life that you want to live. All right? Not the life that everybody else wants for you. This took me a long time to realize, to finally figure it out, that nobody knows what I want, or nobody really has my best interests in mind except me. Okay? A lot of people didn't understand why I chose to do professional wrestling. All right? Because it made me happy. And when I started a lot of the negativity and naysayers kind of talk me out of it, I lost my passion for it. But I did it because I loved it. A lot of people didn't understand my reasoning for doing podcasts. And I'm like, because it makes me happy. People try to deter me away from going to Indianapolis for years. And like, why? It made me happy to go to Indianapolis. It made me happy at the idea of going to go see my favorite football team play in their home city. So there are a lot of people just like they have their like metaphorical claws inside of us, kind of moving us in whatever direction that they want us to go. And until you realize that again, you only have one life, right? This applies to it. This rule applies to it. Until you break free and start doing the things that you want to do, you're just living for somebody else's validation. I used to get in a lot of trouble in wrestling because I didn't necessarily like selling tickets for my home promotion. And I'd hear about it all the time, but I wanted to venture out. Thinking back, I was threatened and just told about not being loyal and all sorts of stuff. You got to sell tickets and all these things. But my goal in wrestling, even though I wasn't close at that time, my goal in wrestling was not to be the local monthly or every other month hero. My goal was to go to a higher promotion, a much better paying promotion. That was my goal. And I let other people who seemed to hold things over me. I let them have influence over that and they made me afraid to go and be successful and go and try and go out and just not stay in one place. Go wrestle as many times as you can. I let people do that to me, and it's a real shame because I did have a deep passion for it, and I do regret that. But pro wrestling is one of but many instances where I just I let other people pull me in a direction that maybe I really, truly didn't want to go. But there it is, everybody. The top 10 pieces of advice to my younger self. This was a lot of fun. This was very therapeutic for myself. I hope that after listening to this, you can look back at this. You can look back at some of these moments and thought processes that you once felt were normal and challenge them and wish that you had done something better. And by wishing you had done something better back then, lay the groundwork to do better now and find some success. So thank you so much for listening to this, for the support of the show. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. Every time you click on this episode, it means the absolute world to me. But without further ado, thank you so much. We will talk to you on Friday for Funless Friday. And till next time, do you even list?